morning, FP&M and all those just joining early. We will be starting the meeting at 9:30, but enjoy the kudos and the intro videos, and look forward to sharing the meeting with you in just a moment. Good morning, FP&M. Thank you for joining early. Enjoy the video while we wait to start the meeting at 9:35 or 9:30. Thanks. Good morning, FP&M. The meeting will start at 9:30. Enjoy the kudos and video while we wait. Good morning, FP&M. Welcome. The meeting will get started at 9:30, but until then, enjoy some opening kudos and celebrations of our year. Good morning, FP&M. Thanks to those joining a bit early. We'll start the meeting at 9:30, but until then, enjoy the kudos and celebrations of our extraordinary year. morning, FP&M. Thank you for joining us for our year-end virtual celebration meeting. So glad to have you here. We're going to take the next few moments to watch the end of this wonderful celebration video before we move into our welcome by Rob Kramer. Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy the last few minutes of all of the very hard work of the many folks at FP&M in this extraordinary year.
Good morning. and welcome to the FP&M All Staff Meeting. This is Steve Wagner, FP&M Communications Director, and I will be your host today. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us here. As you can see, we have a full program today with a message from Chancellor Blank, after which we'll hear from ABC Kramer, answer some of your questions, and hear from other members of the FP&M leadership team. But first, we'll start with a special message from Chancellor Blank.
And if you don't have sound, give us just a moment as we reload that video and make sure we have sound going. Thank you.
I'm delighted to have this opportunity to say thank you to our employees in FP&M for the extraordinary dedication you've shown in this very strange and stressful year. COVID has changed so much of what we do and how we do it, and that's especially true for all of you. You've had to take on new responsibilities and learn new ways of doing things that keep us operating. I am thankful for all of you, and I want to say thanks in particular to the frontline staff working on campus throughout the pandemic to help ensure that our buildings are clean and safe. I hope you're proud, as I am, that we have had no documented cases of COVID spread in our classrooms or labs. To those of you who've helped us figure out parking and space allocation for different types of instruction and testing sites. To those who made sure we could quickly stand up our Binax test sites. To the communicators who've worked diligently to ensure that everyone is aware of our public safety rules. And to all of you who've kept our core operations going at this very difficult time, including operating and maintaining our campus buildings and grounds, continuing renovation projects and keeping our major capital projects moving forward, supplying utility services, safeguarding our health and safety in laboratories and animal research facilities, advancing campus sustainability initiatives, and continuing to prioritize stewardship of the Lakeshore Nature Preserve, which has been a lifeline for so many during this pandemic. We're in a world that none of us ever thought about or wanted to be in. And I know none of this has been easy, particularly with furloughs and the work-share program that we've had to implement. We could not continue to fulfill our mission as one of the greatest public universities in the country without all of you. So I want to thank you for your hard work this semester and for the work you're doing now to prepare for next semester. And a special thank you to Al Fish and to Rob Kramer for their leadership. We will continue to have challenges, but I'm hopeful that the vaccine will allow us to return to something close to normal by next fall. I hope you have wonderful and safe holidays. Thank you, and on Wisconsin.
And now I'd like to introduce Robert Kramer, who joined FP&M in November as our new Interim Associate Vice Chancellor. Over to you, Rob.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Steve, for that introduction. What a great video by the Chancellor, summing up, I think, in words that I can't build upon a lot, the extraordinary dedication of this team throughout the past year. A year ago, none of us would have predicted this kind of year. And while I was at UW System Administration, I got to see firsthand the dedication and commitment of this group day in and day out around the UW-Madison campus, and in talking with Vice Chancellor Heller, Chancellor Blank, and others when I was sitting in the chair at UW System Administration. And to have the opportunity and the privilege to come work with all of you now at UW-Madison has been really just very special for me. And it's hard to believe it's already been 1 month. I do want to echo the thanks of Steve for everyone taking the time this morning to join our all-staff meeting. I want to share a little bit of my background with you, talk a little bit about some of the priorities and how I'm proceeding, working with our customers, our partners, and then touch on some questions folks have shared over the last couple of weeks about some of the things that are going on. So jumping right into some background about me, and I've shared some of this in a couple different venues already. Personal background, my wife and I, we live in Platteville, Wisconsin, and we really enjoy the southwest part of the state. And the ability to kind of be here and UW-Madison at the same time is pretty special. We do have 3 children. They might object to being called children at this point. We're down to 1 teenager, a couple young adults. Our oldest is in the state of Washington. She is in the Olympic Peninsula, kind of living her current dream of working and being able to enjoy the Northwest, which is an area that she's exploring quite a bit now. Our middle guy lived the reality of COVID in the spring, his senior year as a chemistry major. He graduated and has been kind of pursuing different odds and ends since then, looking for full-time employment like lots of other graduates who came out of college this spring. Certainly something they had not anticipated, making the most of it. And then our youngest is a college sophomore this year. He too experienced the disruption of the spring, finishing his freshman year, taking classes online from our basement. Not what he wanted, not what we had anticipated, but making it work. And he was very happy this past fall to get back to his campus and beyond campus. Even though many classes were online, he just enjoyed being there versus at home. Some of the hobbies and interests that I pursue, I really enjoy hiking different state parks. Governor Dodge is one of my favorite areas. Susan and I have found a couple new trails this past summer there that we've enjoyed quite a bit in watching the changing of the seasons. I also do some bike riding and do a lot of reading in my spare time, both historical works and other nonfiction activities. Professionally, I have a background. I started my career with the state of Wisconsin at the Wisconsin Department of Administration. I was fortunate to have a number of interesting opportunities there, working most recently DOA as the administrator for the Division of State Facilities and the secretary for the State of Wisconsin Building Commission. So I've gotten to see the capital program from that direction. 2007, I moved over to University of Wisconsin Platteville, which is where actually I'm sitting this morning to make sure I have a good internet connection, to be their chief business officer, kind of the vice chancellor for admin and finance at Platteville. Enjoyed that for 10 years, got to work on some really remarkable things. The campus was growing rapidly during that period of time. And also had to deal with the challenge of a tornado that struck a portion of the campus in 2014. And the recovery from that event in, let's see, it was June 16th of 2014, we had about 80 days until students returned to campus. And that was a remarkable couple of months getting things ready. And fortunately, we were able to get the campus ready to go for that fall. Most recently, obviously, I was at University of Wisconsin System Administration as the vice president for administration there. Got to work with President Cross and most recently President Thompson on a range of interesting and challenging activities. The UW restructuring the last couple of years was obviously a very big piece of what I worked on. But it was also very interesting and fun to work on the information security program, getting that stood up and expanded. Excuse me. A couple other points that I want to share in terms of priorities and some of the things that I think is important. I'm trying to make sure I intentionally get time with all of you to listen and learn about the things going on within FP&M. And I'm going to be carving out time to get into some smaller group sessions. I've had a chance to meet many of you already. I'm looking forward to meeting more. But I'm also working to find times to sit down with the deans and some of our other partners and really ask them about their priorities and pardon me, ask them about their priorities and how FP&M really can support their success over the next couple of years. And this aligns, I think, with the priorities that I outlined earlier in terms of continuing to work on partnerships and collaborating both internally and externally. Another priority is the 2021-23 capital budget and helping advance that. There's a number of very exciting projects for UW-Madison in that. I want to make sure that working with everyone in FP&D across UW-Madison and the UW system, helping advance those projects. Obviously, working on our annual budget and the budget for the next couple of years with FP&M is important. And clearly continuing to help lead the response on COVID-19, as the Chancellor noted, this past year, a remarkable response by the campus and this group. Now we're helping get ready for the spring semester and some changes to make there. And then working on promoting excellence in all that we do. One of the clear themes I've heard in my conversations with the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor Heller, and others is that the services, the work, the day-to-day activities that all of you do are really just critical to the success of the colleges in UW-Madison. And I really like the vision statement of FP&M on its website and in its materials about pursuing excellence and being a service organization. And I want to make sure that during the next couple of years, I continue to help build on that and work on the momentum that's already been created. And then the last piece is that continuity theme. I'm not charged with coming in and changing a lot of things. I want to continue to build on the successes to date and help all of you continue to move forward in support of UW-Madison. The themes that our partners are reflecting back to me that I think are important just to share initially with all of you is one, again, that importance of FP&M in all the things that we do for the UW-Madison and in partnering with UW system. That is coming through loud and clear. Another one of the themes is the customer service. How do we provide good service now, and how we can continue to kind of build on that. It's been nice hearing from several of the deans already about just the pride that they see in the work that all of you do in their buildings and in their facilities, and helping out in areas like environmental health and safety. The professionalism and the enthusiasm they see from each of you when they're interacting. Another piece that I've heard about is the importance of continued communications. And I look forward to working with Kelly and Steve, Alicia, and others on building out that and continuing to figure out how do we refine and tell the story of FP&M. There are so many exciting things going on that I think getting that story out and helping people understand what we're up to is really critical for the next couple of years. I think those are the highlights probably that I want to touch on before we go into some questions, Steve. So maybe I can turn it back to you at this point. But again, I'm very glad to be here and very excited to be part of the FP&M family.
All right, thanks, Rob. Sorry, I'm getting an echo. So now we'll answer a few of the most burning questions of the day, many of which were submitted by FP&M staff. The first few questions are for Rob. So I'll start with the first one. We've heard that FP&M's operating budget has been cut by about $3.6 million in the next fiscal year. How will this affect us and our services?
So that's a really important point, and I've already started working with the directors on how do we manage this. I just outlined the importance of continuity and building on that excellence. And it's been nice to see how proactive people have already been dealing with some of the reductions for the current fiscal year. Obviously, across UW-Madison, people are having to make some tough choices. And this current fiscal year is pretty much taken care of, and we're now looking towards the next fiscal year. I think it's an opportunity. We'll have to look at different ways to deal with this. It's not insurmountable. And at the same time, Vice Chancellor Heller and I, in talking about it, have said, where do we need to make some investments to continue the progress of FP&M? So it's going to be something that the directors, Margaret, Tony, Deb, and I work on. And I think we'll try and figure out some ways then to engage all of you as we figure out the answers on this and move it forward.
Thanks, Rob. Will these budget cuts require more furloughs and or layoffs?
So on furloughs, there was the announcement of the campus-wide furloughs for everyone here at UW-Madison. So the furlough piece is being taken care of in that manner. We clearly want to avoid layoffs and other impacts on employees as much as we can as we go through this, because the services we provide are so important. So we'll look at some different ways to tackle this, but layoffs would be something we want to avoid as much as possible.
Okay, so now we'll switch topics to one of the most important topics of the day, the Safer Badgers program. So Rob, how does the Safer Badgers program work, and how will it affect us in our day-to-day work?
There's a couple of things on Safer Badgers I would highlight. First, it's still evolving. There are a number of questions that many of the people in FP&M are engaged helping answer across the UW-Madison campus. And I've been really impressed and pleased that so many of the directors are deeply engaged in helping coordinate this for the entire campus. So I think we're well represented, and our concerns and issues are going to be part of that conversation. The big piece is the additional testing, I think, in making sure that everyone, pretty much every 8 days, has been tested. And we're partnering with Shield T3 on that. That's going to help, I think, in addition to the precautions of social distancing, masking, good cleanliness, to reduce the risk of transmission of COVID. It's going to be an evolving semester, obviously, as the vaccine starts to roll out. But I don't think that will be a silver bullet for this coming semester. So that additional testing with Safer Badger and then the app to demonstrate that we have been tested will be important pieces of our work this coming spring.
So a bit of a follow-up question to that. So do I really have to get a COVID test in order to come to campus?
So that's an important question, and for people coming to campus, the answer is yes, we do need to get tested. I plan to get tested every 8 days because I do spend part of my time on campus, and that's the expectation for all of us. We want to make sure that we're making it easy for people to do that so that it does not become disruptive, but it's going to be an important piece is that leading through example and demonstrating our commitment to being safe and helping keeping those around us safe by getting tested.
So will the testing be available? Well, actually, the next question, sorry, or the next set of questions are for Chris Strang, who's the Assistant Vice Chancellor of Environment, Health, and Safety. We'll switch to Chris. So Chris, Rob was just talking about testing. So will this testing be available on all shifts, and where can people get tested?
Just a second, Steve. So good morning, everyone. I hope that you and your families are doing well. And I would like to take just 1 second to wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season. So now I'll get back to the question. So actually, so as Rob mentioned, that the testing is a key component to our spring plan. And so therefore, providing convenient access to the testing has been one of the objectives that the team that's responsible for developing and implementing the process overall has had. And so testing will absolutely be available on all shifts. The second part of the question, I believe, has to do with the test site locations. We've identified 12 of those so far across campus, and we'll continue to evaluate the testing process to make sure that we have both enough sites and also enough hours to be able to provide easy access to the testing.
Thanks, Chris. Just a quick follow-up on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the kind of tests that people will take?
Sure, I'd be glad to, Steve. So, folks, so the difference, I think everybody's seen the nasal swab test, and that's what we've been using to date. This is going to be a saliva-based test, and so this is a little bit less invasive than the Q-tips that folks know, and also a little bit quicker turnaround time on that. So these will be saliva-based tests. Again, it's a newer test, but we think it'll be a little bit quicker and a little bit less intrusive for the testing itself.
Okay, thanks. Another part of the Safer Badgers program is something called the Badger Wellness Ambassadors. So, Chris, can you tell us about the Badger Wellness Ambassadors and how this will affect our use of facilities on campus?
Sure, Steve, glad to. So maybe just to back up a half step. So the Badger Badge is one of the components of the overall Safer Badges app, which is part of our overall COVID response strategy. So the Badger Badge is a virtual pass, and that will be used by students and employees to access campus buildings and workspaces. The Badger Wellness Ambassador will be located outside various building entrances across campus to review the badge status prior to building entry. They will also be able to provide guidance to folks who need assistance with their overall badge status.
Thank you. So Rob mentioned that the vaccine is becoming available in Wisconsin and across the country. So one of the things that everyone seems to want to know, Chris, is when the COVID-19 vaccine will be available for FP&M staff, and how will it be distributed?
Okay, this one's a little tougher to answer, but let me maybe provide a bit more background on that one, Steve. So there's currently one vaccine that's approved for emergency use, and that's the one manufactured by Pfizer. The states received 50,000 doses of those so far, and with the states begin distributing those to areas that have the access to ultra-low temperature storage facilities. UW Health has received some of those vaccines and has begun administering that vaccine. The state's expecting 100,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine shortly after it's approved, which hopefully should be perhaps today or tomorrow. That vaccine does not have some of the same storage requirements and will be able to be distributed more broadly across the state. Both vaccines do require 2 doses, though, to provide maximum immunity. So the initial focus at the state level is going to be on healthcare workers and nursing home residents and staff, and that's about 460,000 people statewide. Essential workers will likely be that next big category after that, and then followed by the individuals over 65 and those with underlying conditions, then and lastly, the folks who don't fit in any of those categories. So the Moderna vaccine is actually going to be distributed through the federal pharmacy distribution program, and that includes stores like Walgreens and CVS. So our ability to provide vaccinations on campus really will depend on ultimately how much vaccine we're able to obtain. I do know that there's a team that's looking at that currently on campus, but I've not heard a recent update from them. So probably a long way of saying we're not exactly sure when that will be. Trying to kind of lay out the timeline for expectations, but it will be into next year, likely before most folks have access.
Thanks, Chris. That leads us into our next question for you, which is how much longer will we have to keep wearing masks, physical distancing, and working from home?
Another good question. So this is also going to depend on several variables, and so they include how soon the vaccine is going to be widely available, how quickly we can administer it to the folks in the various groups, and lastly, and probably one of the biggest wild cards, is how many folks ultimately choose to take the vaccine. So what I would expect is that as we see community infection rates start to decrease and we see the number of folks vaccinated increase, so probably some of the public health guidelines restrictions will be relaxed. I don't really think that physical distancing and mask wearing will be early on, though, because they're so important for reducing the risk of disease transmission. So I would expect those to continue longer. And so based on everything I've been able to see, it looks like those requirements probably will be in place until summer, as in next summer. So even though this seems like a long time away, I really want to come back to a key piece. The fact that we have currently 1 and soon to be 2 very effective vaccines approved and ready for distribution is excellent news. And I think it's a clear indicator that we do have a path forward and ultimately we'll get through this pandemic.
Right. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Our next question is for Margaret Tennyson, Deputy Associate Vice Chancellor of FP&M. Margaret,
Good morning, Steve. Can you hear
Good
me all
morning.
right?
I
And
can.
good morning, everyone.
So the question we have for you is also about the Safer Badger program, and it's asking whether we all have to use the Safer Badger app, and what do I do if I don't have a smartphone or I don't want to put it on my personal phone?
Good, really good question, Steve. And, you know, we heard from a lot of employees about wondering, looking for more information about the Safer Badger app, wanting to know how this is going to work. And so we know that this is something that many of you are wondering about. The short answer is that yes, all of us will be required to use the app. This is not unlike what we all do with the multi-factor authentication that we have to use to access the UW NetID login. So this will be something similar to that. We'll use the app to do a number of different things. Chris and Rob talked a little bit about this earlier, but the app will be where we go to identify testing locations on campus. We'll use the app to schedule appointments. You'll also be able to go in there to get your results. And then you'll have ability to display what's called a Badger badge, which will show that you are current with testing and that you are cleared to access the campus. So it's going to be really important that everybody have the app and is familiar with how to use it. For folks who don't have a smartphone, campus is working on providing loaner phones for people who don't have an individual smartphone. These phones will be limited use, which means that they will work for the app, but really not anything else. We are exploring possibly doing something a little bit different with our second and third shift employees. And as just to make it easier for them, but we've not determined yet for sure what we'll be doing with that group. And so, you know, certainly more information to come for all of us. I do want to assure everybody that our communications group, human resources, and all of the FP&M directors are working very hard right now to make sure that everybody will have the information that you need to be able to participate in the program easily. So there will be training videos. There will certainly be a lot more communications coming out in the near future. So I just want to encourage everybody to really stay tuned and keep an eye out for more information.
All right, thanks, Margaret. Our last couple of questions are for Rob, so we'll return to him. So for the first question, Rob, is how do you plan to approach FP&M's long-standing EID efforts, engagement, inclusion, and diversity? And how will you make this a focus during your time here?
So that's a really important question, and I had the opportunity to meet with the committee already and also with the chair Dar, and I really appreciate how thoughtful the group is in putting together the action plan responding to the issues from the last survey. And what I've asked them to do is put together kind of a work plan to identify how do we operationalize the priorities. This is something I want to make sure that I'm intentional about and spend time on. And I've also, asked them to hold me accountable for our response within FPM on this important topic. So it's going to be something that I'll continue to be deeply engaged with and talking about with the directors, with my meetings with employees and others, and also with Vice Chancellor Heller as he looks at the EID program across the entire area of finance and administration. So something that is high on my list of things to make sure that we make good progress on. I was struck in the survey that there was a fair and I think healthy skepticism of would management and leadership do anything about these things. And my commitment is that we will work on this. Doesn't mean we'll get it all done, but we are going to be working on these topics because that's very important.
Thanks, Rob. And one final question. Now we know you've just joined us, but we do want to know when the recruitment will begin for the permanent AVC of FP&M. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I don't know when the recruitment will begin. My appointment runs through sometime in the fall of 2022. And so I want to make sure that I'm helping all of us prepare for that transition. We're going through the transition right now of me coming in as interim AVC, and that is always a disruptive event when there's change at the top of an organization, and I want to acknowledge that. But I also want to make sure I'm helping everyone prepare for that next transition to be successful, and again, to keep moving FP&M forward and helping really tell the story of all the great things going on within this group that support the remarkable accomplishments, achievements, and progress at UW-Madison, and really things that impact across the entire state. I think it's a real privilege and opportunity to get to work at an institution that has both a statewide and national and a global impact. And UW-Madison is really one of the few in the nation that has this kind of reach and expansive impact. And so I want to make sure that the work over the next couple of years really gets things ready for that next person to be successful in continuing to move things forward. And I do want to make sure that I take a moment this morning before we wrap up and go to some holiday thanks to convey to everyone my wishes of a safe and enjoyable holiday season. It's going to be different from what we've had in the past, but I'm hoping everyone can find a way to make the most of it and stay safe. And I also wanted to say a couple quick thanks, Steve, to folks who helped get this program ready this morning. Obviously, you were deeply involved. Also, Kelly and Kayla and Alicia and Allison. And thanks to Chris and Margaret for helping to make this happen. And a special thanks to Margaret and Pam for the work on my transition. And they have been remarkable, and it's been a lot of fun to work with them for the first 4 weeks. And I greatly appreciate all the things that they have done to help me start to understand FP&M a little bit better and find my way around. So thanks, and back to you.
Thanks, Rob. So before we wrap up today, first, I'd like to thank Rob and Chris and Margaret for answering all of our questions today. We know that we were only able to answer some of the questions that you submitted, and we know that you'll continue to have more questions as we move forward. So first, if you've submitted a question and it wasn't answered today, you can be sure that you'll receive a direct answer sometime soon. We're keeping track of all those questions. Secondly, if you'd like to ask a question going forward, you can continue to use the employee question form on Inside FP&M. You can also send email directly to avc@fpnm.wisc.edu. We keep track of all the questions that come in there as well. Lastly, on behalf of everyone that helped put this meeting together, who Rob has already mentioned, Alicia, Kayla, Allison, Kelly, Pam, Margaret, and myself, I'd like to thank you for attending today's meeting. And now for the final part of today's program.
I wanted to take this time to say thank you to all of the transportation services staff. This year has been an unusual time, and each and every one of you have really stepped up to the plate to help us make the changes that were needed to keep you all safe, as well as meeting the needs of all of our customers. I am very proud of all the effort that has gone into this last 9 months and all of the work that you have done. I really hope everyone has a wonderful and safe holiday, and please make sure to take some time to get some rest and kind of recover for the year ahead. So again, thank you very much, and I really do appreciate all your hard work.
Hi, I'm Margaret Tennyson, FP&M's Deputy ABC. As 2020 winds down, I want to offer my profound thanks to the FP&M OAVC team for your accomplishments during this most unusual year. From the moment the pandemic unfolded on our campus, you stepped up to meet this challenge. From adapting to working remotely to ensuring continuity of services, you found new and innovative ways to serve our internal and external stakeholders. I hope the holidays will give you a chance to rest and recharge after this busy year, and I look forward to building on this success with you in the year to come. Thanks so much and happy holidays.
Hi folks, it's Kip McMahon. It's the end of our calendar year 2020, and I really want to express my appreciation to all of FP&M as a group, and in particular to facility planning and delivery, and how proud I am of the work that you all have done in the past year and under extraordinary circumstances. You rose to the occasion. You've risen to the challenges in front of you. You've been productive and you've been cheerful in the process, and we still remain a pretty strong team. And for that, I'm grateful and want to wish you a happy new year. I'm really looking forward to 2021 and a brighter future. Thanks again.
On behalf of the entire sustainability team, we want to thank each and every one of you for your extraordinary hard work and dedication this year. We are so proud to be part of this amazing organization. And we wish each of you and yours extraordinarily good, happy holidays and a wonderful new year. We'll see you in 2021.
As we prepare to wrap up 2020, wow, what a year. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would. We've come a long way and broke ground on new collaborations with our partners in sustainability, EH&S, transportation, and capital projects. And man, what a year, and what we've done to continue to solve problems and deliver our facilities, products, and services. Happy holidays, and thanks for all that you do.